Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. On this episode, I'm going to show you how to build this awesome shaker style wainscoting. This is a great weekend project. It will add character and depth to any room that you have. And if that's something you're interested in doing, stick around because we're about to get started. Alright, so this is the wall that we're going to be installing the wainscoting on. Now, the first thing that we need to do is get all the measurements and math correct. The first thing you need to do is decide how many panels that you want to have on your wall. For mine, I'm going with 5 panels. So in order to get the math correct and find the center of all the boards, vertical boards or the slats that we're going to install, I need to take a measurement of the entire length and divide the panel number into that. If you're a little intimidated by this math, don't worry, I've got you covered. I'll put all that information in the description below and also a visual diagram to help you out. And if you have any questions, just post in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. All right, well, I already know what my measurements are. I just have to make a few lines on my wall, and then we're gonna go into my shop and cut a few boards and bring them in and do the installation. Now let's head to my shop. All right, so here we are in my shop, and the next step is to create the center boards for our shaker style wainscoting. Now, I decided to go with a 1/2 inch board for the center because it gives the wainscoting, I think, a little bit more character and depth. Now, this is totally a personal preference. You can stick with the standard 3/4 inch, or you can do the 1/2 inch like I am. However, if you decide to do the 1/2 inch, there's one thing you need to consider. It's very hard to find a truly a 1/2 inch board, unless you live near a specialty shop, which I do not. So I decided that I'm gonna have to switch materials from wood to an MDF. Now, MDF is totally fine because we're gonna paint it and you're not gonna be able to see or notice the difference. Now, what I did is I bought a full sheet, which is 4 feet by 8. I had my store cut it in half for me so I could manage it and move it around the shop because MDF is quite heavy. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my wood here, and this is gonna be my guide, and I'm gonna set my table saw to this exact width. And then we're gonna run my MDF through it and we'll have our boards. Before we start this project, I want to talk about something really important. If you're tying into existing shaker style wainscoting, you need to really pay attention to this. If you don't, just skip past this part and move on to the actually assembling of the shaker style wainscoting. But if you are tying into existing wainscoting like I am, you really need to note how your wainscoting is put together at your baseboard. Let me take the camera down and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, this is your existing wainscoting. Now, it's important to note that your baseboard is actually attached to a 1x. This is that 1x that this is attached to. It's not attached to your drywall. This right here is attached to your drywall. So this is gonna have to come off before you can install your wainscoting. Now, this is probably a 1x10 that's been cut down a little bit, and I'm gonna take a board. I'm gonna actually take this off and put a board in and put all this back on before I build out the top part of my wainscoting. Now, it's important because if you don't do this, you're not gonna have the depth you need. And if you laid a 1x right on top of this, it would protrude out and overlap. There'd be a little lip and it just would not look good. So be sure to check out your bottom of your baseboard to see how they did it, and you wanna match that. Well, I hope you found that tip helpful. All right, well, let's get started on the project. Okay, as you can see, I've removed my old baseboard and I've put this 1x8 in its place. It's sitting on 2 blocks of 1x's, giving it 1.5 inches high. That way it'll meet up right where I need it to, and when I put the baseboard on, it'll look just like the other side. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna nail this to the wall and then put our baseboard in, and then we'll work on the rest of the project. All right, as you can see here, the hardest part is going around this little corner. What I've done is I've cut little degreed angles and angled them in to make this little design. The next, I'm gonna add the baseboard all the way along the bottom. So when your baseboard for your wainscoting sticks outside your base trim for your door, you need to terminate the baseboard differently. Normally you could just run it straight into this, it would be flat, but because our baseboard sits outside of that, we have to terminate it using a 90-degree angle. And that's what it's gonna look like. So it's just something to keep in mind. It'll make it nice and clean, and you just wanna make sure you do it right. So test fit everything before you nail it. All right, let's move on to the rest of the project. All right, so I've finished installing the baseboard. Now it's time to install the vertical shaker slats. I've already cut them, and all we need to do is install them on the wall. I'm using some pretty long brad nails. I'll put a link to those in the description so you know exactly what I'm using for this project. All right, let me go grab those slats and we'll start nailing them to the wall. We just finished installing the vertical slats. Now it's time to put in the final piece, the railing. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna bring it in, set it on top, and nail it in, and then it'll be ready for painting. All right, I have the piece right here. This is it. It's gonna sit on just like this. We're gonna nail it on, and it'll be good to go. It looks awesome. All right, let me go grab my brad nail and we'll attach this to the wall. Hopefully it'll stay. All right. All right, there you have it. It's installed and now it's ready to be painted. Let's move on to painting and finishing. All right, here we are at the end of our project. We have wood puttied all the holes, we've caulked all the gaps, and now it's time to paint the wainscoting. I'm going with a white colored paint. Tying into the rest of my house. I'll put a link in the description to the specific white paint that I'm using, but we're gonna paint this and then I'll show you what it looks like all done. We are done with the Shaker Wainscoting, and I can't tell you how happy I am with how it turned out. It really gives this room a lot more depth and character, and that's exactly what my wife asked for, and she's really happy with it. Like they say, a happy wife is a happy life. Well, I'm gonna show you a little bit more detail and show you some B-roll here at the end, but before I do that, I just wanna say thank you for sticking around to the end, and if you like this video, smash that thumbs up button for me. I'd appreciate it. It also helps others find this video too. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ding that bell to get notified when I post new content. All right, guys, here's some awesome B-roll of the final product. Enjoy.